I haven't retold this story ever. I used to work as a security guard. One night I got a real technical post at a local rail yard. I don't want to give away which state I'm, but I can just say it was fairly large and next to a large city. It was my first night, and this old-timer is showing me the ropes. There's a lot to do. I have to watch a gate as truckers go in and out with brand new cars loaded up on their trailers. I had to do a patrol through a large gated outdoor area that enclosed 5 sets of tracks that unloaded these new cars. It was a 12-hour night shift. 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Thankfully, I wasn't alone or I would have been seriously disturbed. There were drivers, who were dicks, and rail workers putting trains together. I forget exactly what time, but in the early AM I get a call from one of them in the security gate office. I'm told that someone, probably a bum, had strolled into the gated area. Now this area is the size of several football fields, filled with brand new cars with gas in the tank. This is a serious problem, and the whole reason I was there in the first place. To protect the probably tens of millions of dollars worth of cars. As I show up in a little golf cart, I speak with one of the rail workers who gave me a very vague description. A man wearing blue jeans. I was then tasked with finding the man in this huge place with about 80 million places to hide. It was clear he was probably a bum, and that the cars would offer a wonderful place to sleep for the night. So there I was, going through a huge field of cars. I shined my flashlight into the tinted windows of at least 100 cars. I was expecting to walk up on a bum, sleeping in a car or listening to the radio. Or worse yet, maybe someone there to steal a car. They all had keys in the ignition and gas in the tank for moving. I looked for almost an hour, and nothing. At last I went to the actual trains. They are huge, like the size of houses. Each one was easily taller than my house and half as wide. You don't realize how big trains are until you get there. I found myself shouting at the trains, and walking around them looking for that same bum. I was thorough, but I found nothing at all. Scared, miffed, and while having pissed off truckers honk their horns at me hundreds of meters away, I went back to the guard cabin. I had an argument with a trucker who was pissed at me for keeping him at the gate, and then a phone call from the railway guys asking if I had found the guy. I told them I looked for a long while, and couldn't find him. I supposed he may have jumped a fence to get away from me. I had looked everywhere. Another hour passes, and at 3 or 4 a.m., I forget exactly, I get a call. They found the man on the rail tracks. Right where I had been looking. I later learned that he was probably hiding on the tracks, where I wasn't likely to stick my head. Then when I said I couldn't find him, the rail workers moved the train again. I was 16, and working at an ice cream store all alone, late at night. It was the beginning of March in Canada, so the ground was covered in a thick layer of snow. I got a phone call. "I can see you," a man's voice said eerily. I looked around, in a panic. The store had huge glass windows on all sides. I could see nobody in the darkness. I cringed in shock. The man began to vividly describe how he planned to rape me. I was terrified, and as soon as the shock wore off, which seemed like ages, because I heard part of his sickening description, I hung up the phone. It was disgusting. I was hysterical. I rushed to all the doors and locked them. Then, I hid behind a counter with the phone. I was crying. I immediately called my boss, and told him what happened. I asked him if I should call the police. I know, dumb move, I should have just called them. I was shocked by his answer. He said, it was a prank. Open the store. That man was probably joking. Go back to work. What a dick. He wasn't even making money, because it was -15 and nobody was coming the store, but he wanted me to endanger myself by opening up when some creep had been threatening me. I called my dad, who was furious. He came within 5 minutes. I closed the store, and he took me home. Needless to say, I never went back to work there again, and never spoke to my old boss again. Most terrifying thing ever. And I learned that some people just don't give a shit about your safety. Edited. Removed one of the gross things he said. Internet doesn't need more ick.